Om Namah Shivaya. Was talking before this satsanga about the man is not conscious. The main problem of man in general is that he's not conscious. Men and women, obviously, men in general. He's not conscious. It's the main problem he has. Apparently, he has problem with family, with the city, with the government, with the world, with whom? With Trump, with Biden, with anyone. No. His main problem is that he's not conscious. And there is some energy in him stealing consciousness from him. This energy is called Arnavamala, blocking all the time. And the progeny of Arnavamala, the result of Arnavamala, that is Maya Tattva. We live in the Maya Tattva. This is the egg of Maya. We live here. Unconscious. That's why all the problem between people, because they don't see themselves. But they see other people. So they say, oh, you have this problem. Yes, and you have that problem. No, I don't have any problem. You understand all the time these conversations. You are like this. No, you are like that. No, I'm not like that. So, and all of them are like this, yes. So you are jealous. No, I'm not jealous. But yes, you are jealous. Or you are this, you are that. You're a thief. No, I'm not a thief. All the time justifying our behavior, all the time discussing. The problem with false ego in people is that consumes a lot of energy. You have to give a lot of energy for ego to continue to work, false ego, because some part of ego is good. For example, parts of you that know how to do something are good ego. Bad ego is vanity, imagination, bad imagination, all this is bad in you. So you spend a lot of energy in keeping the machine working. For example, competing, trying to be the best. You spend energy to be the best, the number one. But when you don't have ego like this, you relax, yes? And you keep energy. I don't need to compete. With whom? If I'm alone. So you relax. And you store energy in you. And with this energy you store in you, you keep in you, you can wake up. Can be awakened, spiritually awakened. Without energy, you cannot wake up in spirituality. So Maya will try by all means that you will spend all your energy in false ego, trying to justify everything, try to be what you are not all the time. For example, I'm not jealous, I'm not a thief, I'm not this, I'm not that, all the time justifying and suffering because someone told you something else about you. All this energy spent uselessly. But when you are conscious, you see all the things in you and you see the truth in you, so you relax. So you're not in a hurry anymore to justify, to compete, to be the best. To be the best with whom? To compete with whom? There is nobody. Spiritual path is not a race. We're not competing. Oh, Ivan will be the first. No, we're not competing. Robert has to be the first. Everybody has his own path and is alone in the path. No competition. Okay. Now we'll continue with the book. For example, we are not conscious when we read the book. We read and read and read, but we're not conscious. That's why we don't remember. If we can remember 90% of the book, oh my God, we are great sages. But in general, we read books in dream like this. Reading and reading and reading, and we're not conscious. For example, we're not conscious that all is about you. You are Shiva. Ego is in you too. It's your ego, not what's the worst ego? What's the worst ego for you? Your ego. Not the ego of someone else, some dictator's ego. No, it's your ego, your problem. You don't have this problem, you have no problem at all. So all the time the word false ego is one's false ego. So all is about you, all. All the books in spirituality speak about you. This is to be conscious. When I speak about Maya, it's about your Maya. It's not about the Maya of someone else, yes, around called Shiva. No, you are Shiva. Shiva, Maya, this manifestation, this is you. It's your ignorance. It's in you too. Your enlightenment is in you. So all begins and ends in you. If you don't understand this, you read books like in dream. Like in dream, it's like for someone else. Okay, now we are finishing the 12, this Satya Mandira Dwadashakam, these 12 stanzas about the Temple of Truth. Now the 3 final stanzas I wrote like an introduction to the scripture Trikamukya Matani. I wrote this in Sanskrit. Yes sarve bhaktaha sarvasyaiva cha swabhava vidyarudaha Sat Swatantriam cha praptum Satya Mandira Viga Menot Sukhahi Tevyo Traitat Sugrantha Ruperna Bardha Masye Shad Darshanam Mapi Abtum Shaknuanti Te Yatha Chashesha Swado Rasiko Tamasya Anasya Tyalpam Se Pyasya Tatha Chaiva Trikasya Sarvaswadaha Shiva Bhaktya Rachita Etadalpa Granthe Bhoktum Shakyata Evahi. For all the devotees, for all the bhaktas, for all the devotees who beseeched, you know what is beseeched? Beseeched. Someone wrote me something.
Beseeched, осажденный in Russian.
We'll check. Because sometimes we have problem with understanding. Yes. In Spanish, asediado. Besiege. In Hungarian, stromlot. Asajdionni in Russian. Very good grammar. Asajdionni. Asediado. So, for all the devotees who besieged, yes, asajdionni. Asajdionni, because it's plural. Asediados. By ignorance about the essential nature. So they are very ignorant about the essential nature of everything. Are indeed eager. You know what is eager? Ready to do something, eager, anxious, enthusiastic. Yes, they want to do something. Are indeed eager for all the devotees who, besieged by ignorance about the essential nature of everything, are indeed eager to visit the temple of truth, Trikashaivism, in order to obtain real freedom. Here they can get a glimpse of it in the form of this good book. This good book, Sugrantha. Su is good. Su. Grantha book. Sugrantha. This good book. So they can read this book to get a glimpse of the Temple of Truth of Trikashaivism. Just as the full flavor, the aswada, the full flavor, the ashesha aswada, the full flavor of the most exquisite food is even in a very small portion of it, so the whole taste of Trikashaivism can be enjoyed in this small book written through devotion to Shiva. So even the greatest flavor, the full flavor, the greatest food can be enjoyed in a little portion of it. Yes, in the same way, the full flavor of Trikashaivism can be enjoyed in this little book. This little book, written Rachita Shiva Bhaktya through devotion to Shiva. I wrote explanation. The difference between a devotee and a disciple lies in initiation. Who didn't receive initiation here from me? You, Ivan, you didn't receive initiation. So you are a devotee. You are not disciple yet. Disciples are initiated by the Guru. The former, the devotee, is not initiated yet, and the latter, the disciple, is already initiated. For all the devotees, because people reading this book in general are not initiated by me, are not my disciples yet, yes? So for all the devotees that want to get initiation leading to real freedom in the Temple of Truth, in this book, they can taste it a little bit. These devotees are characterized for being under the constant attack of ignorance about the essential nature of everything. While the non-devotees are also under this attack day and night, they are pleased with themselves such as they are. So the non-devotees, people not interested in Trikashaivism or even in spirituality as a whole, they're all the time attacked by this ignorance. But they don't care. They are satisfied with themselves. They think, oh, Gabriel, I'm okay with Gabriel. It's okay. Despite Gabriel suffers a lot, I don't care. But someday when a person says like this, I'm fed up with suffering. When a person says this, becomes a devotee. I'm fed up with suffering. Ignorant person, non-devotee, suffers and suffers and suffers, but he doesn't care about putting an end to this suffering. He suffers and he says, okay, life is like this, next I will be happy. He's ignorant. But when that person is more conscious, one day says, I'm fed up with suffering. I want to stop this. This is a devotee. So he becomes a devotee and starts to move for a guru, yes, to move around in search of a guru. Conscious or unconsciously, consciously or unconsciously. So to become a disciple is the next step. But to become a disciple, the guru cannot tell you, hey, you want to be my disciple? It's not like this. Yeah? The guru is not interested in disciples, in having disciples. The disciple is interested in having a guru. It's not that I have to pursue people. Yes, hey, do you want to be my disciples? No. They have to tell me, can I be your disciple or may I be your disciple? So I approve or not. Yes, so I decline. But it's like this, the process. Nobody can force you. Non-devotees want to remain individuals in bondage in the end. They only are eager to obtain comfort and not real freedom. They want only temporary advantages. Yes. I don't know, I want to be a manager, nothing else. Temporary advantage with a better salary, nothing else. They don't want to be free from bondage, from suffering. They only want advantages. Oh, I want more money, or I want a better family, these little things. But at the end, all this is finished because death will come sooner or later. So what's the advantage? It's temporary. They are not, but the devotees are not like that. They are not pleased with their individuality, but they want real freedom from never-ending bondage full of pain. I do not mention pleasure here because it's another form of pain. Because people say that pleasure is different from pain. No. Pleasure leads to pain, and pain leads to pleasure. They are two sides of the same coin. And in the same way, as the full taste of the most exquisite food is even in a very small portion of it, so also the full flavor of Trikashaivism can be enjoyed in this small book that is a sort of summary of the main principles of Trikashaivism, and that was written through constant devotion to Shiva, the Lord of all. Okay, this was the introduction. Now, the book. Adhuna Trikamukya Matani. Adhuna. Now, сейчас, Adhuna. Now, the main tenets of Trikashaivism. Trikashaivism. Mukhya, main. Glavny in Russia, yes, Mukhya. Matani, tenets, principles. The main principle, the fundamental principles of Trikashaivism. explanation in the book. And now I proceed to mention and explain one by one the 25 main tenets of Trikaya Shaivism. I compiled these tenets after 30 years studying the system. I wrote this book in 2019, 3 years ago. So at that time was 30 years studying the system. I try all the time to keep the following format, such as my own guru taught me. The aphorism should be brief, and the commentary on the aphorism should be at least lengthier than the aphorism. The opposite situation is not desirable. For example, a long aphorism and a short commentary is not desirable. The aphorism long and the commentary brief. Very well, I'm not delaying this anymore. Let us start with the first aphorism. It's a stanza, really. It's an aphorism in the form of a stanza. Parabhairavascha, first tenet. Parabhairavascha, Vishwatmaiva, Nanat mano yathaiva devi. Dvaita kya drishtyam nirvathnatyevapi pitu paramatmaikaki. You can imagine how difficult it is to write this in Sanskrit in verse. It's funny. Without devotion for Shiva, you cannot do it. It's impossible. Parabhairava is the self of the universe. It's Vishwatma, the self-atma of Vishwa, the universe. Another way to say universe, Vishwa. Another way to say universe, Jagat. Why Jagat? From the verb gam, to move. Jagam is all the time moving. That's why it's Jagat. There are no multiple selves. There are no nanadmanah, no multiple atmas. As the goddess called duality insists on showing. This dualism all the time, this goddess, this energy insists on showing all the time duality. Who is this goddess? What creates duality? Maya Mala, the impurity of Maya creates duality. Yes, we have Arnava Mala, the main impurity, creating a contraction in your will, so you feel you are not full. Shiva feels I'm not full. I need something to be full. Some object, some person. Wrong. You are full in yourself. You don't need anything. You don't need anyone. Second Mala, second impurity, Maya Mala. Everything is different from me and I'm different from everything. Create duality. Maya Mala dwells in Maya Tattva. That's why it's called the impurity of Maya. And the third impurity, the third Mala is Karma Mala. I'm a doer. You are not a doer. You are Shiva, the witness of all. This witness. This is you. Here. This witness is alive now, yes, but he's not alive. He's only Shiva. He's not part of the prarnas with life and this, not. He's the origin of all life. But we cannot say that he's alive or dead. It's beyond pair of opposites. It's beyond life and death. When the body dies, the eyes are closed, yes, but he continues, they are conscious. He never departs from his own nature, like Spanakarika explains. So you will continue like Shiva forever, conscious, in this body, in death, in another body, all the time conscious, conscious, conscious. This is your real nature. Then you have your ego, your unreal nature, yes, but this is another story, this individuality. When you start to feel that you are your body, that you are a man, you are a woman, all this story. But Shiva is not a man, Shiva is not a woman. Shiva is Shiva only, and nothing happened to him. So you will see the end of this body, and your eyes will be closed and dead. But you will continue there forever, like the witness. And you will wake up in another body and will be a baby again. But you never change. Shiva never changes. It's conscious. It's consciousness, pure consciousness. That's why you cannot die. The body dies. So there are no multiple selves, as the goddess called duality insists on showing, but rather a solitary supreme self. Ekaki Paramatma, or Paramatma Ekaki. There is only a solitary Ekaki, alone, completely known, Ekaki Paramatma, supreme self. You are completely alone. Because when the body dies, all these dualities completely vanished in you. And you stay in a void after dying. But you continue there conscious of the void. Unless you wake up in another body, yes, again, and duality appears again. In fact, this is happening every night when you sleep. You are dying every night. But still there is some prana moving, yes, like you're breathing. That's why the body continues alive. But you are dead inside, sleeping in deep sleep. But your prana continues to move. You are dead inside. But the body is alive because of the movement of prana. This is the only difference between death and deep sleep. But it's like a kind of death. You are practicing for dying at that time. So don't be scared of death, because you cannot die. You can be scared of the suffering of death. Yes, you can be scared. Suffering of death, terrible. If you are happy, no, you are happy. You are lucky. You will be killed by one shot, for example. It's here, instantaneous. If you are unlucky, you will go to a hospital and suffer and die slowly. So it's unlucky. It's unlucky. It's better to die fast. The best luck is to die when you are sleeping, for example, in bed without pain. This is the best luck. That's why the yogis all the time we ask the Lord, yes, please give me a sweet death. Give me a sweet death. Because it's the only sure thing, death. When you are like this, you are called wise person. When you remember death and yourself at the same time. Explanation. There is only one self in this universe, and in Trikashaivism he's called in many ways. Parabhairava, the Supreme Bhairava, Paramashiva, the Supreme Shiva, or plainly Shiva directly. But you call plainly Shiva, there are some technical aspects there that is difficult to understand. That's why we speak about Paramashiva, the Supreme Shiva. Because you speak only about Shiva, yes, it's a Supreme Shiva too. But it's only in Tattva 1, Shiva Tattva 1, the first level, not the rest of the level. Paramashiva is the first level and all the levels. It's all Paramashiva. That's why it's a supreme aspect of Shiva. But yes, Paramashiva is Shiva, yes. And Bhairava is Parabhairava too. The adjectives para and Parama, supreme, highest, are added to the names of Bhairava and Shiva in order to show that one is speaking about the highest aspect of him. That is the highest aspect of Bhairava, the highest aspect of Shiva. The word Bhairava literally means frightful, terrible, formidable. Anyway, acrostically speaking, the same word can be interpreted like this. Bhairava is the one who maintains Bhararna. He maintains this universe working. He keeps this universe working in front of you. Withdraws Ravarna and manifests Vamana. So Bhairava, Bhararna, Ravarna, Vamana. Bhairava. In turn, the word Shiva means auspicious. auspicious. Obviously, Bhairava is Shiva and Shiva is Bhairava. And Parabhairava is Paramashiva and Paramashiva is Parabhairava. And though Parabhairava and Paramashiva are the highest aspect of Bhairava and Shiva, they are not different from Bhairava and Shiva. If one cannot understand this well, there will be duality again, which amounts to a pile of useless suffering. Because the only thing we need is to discuss about Bhairava or Parabhairava. Yes, really, it's stupid. There are no multiple selves or beings. There are multiple bodies, minds, personalities, etc., but not selves. Self is one in everyone. When you discover this, what's the name of this? Discovery. Liberation. When you discover that yourself is the self of all, this is liberation. It's only one self playing all the roles. This truth is foundational in Trika. If one cannot at least start to go in the direction of this teaching, he will be unlikely to succeed with all the rest of the philosophical system. So you miss the target with this, the rest is useless. I tell you that many scholars in this world miss the target. Anyway, they are Trika scholars, but they don't understand the simple truth that they are Shiva. I'm not joking. Despite its centrality, most people forget it. And of course, they cannot understand the other teachings. To support my point, I'm now quoting what Kshemaraja wrote about this while commenting the first aphorism of Shiva in his Shiva Sutra Marshini. He wrote this. I will read in Sanskrit. Tadetatma na punararnyaha kopi vedavadya vyupagato vina vina swabhavaha tasya chaitanya jadataya natmatvat chidatmatve vedanu papateschito deshakala karaishchidibhyatirekat achetya manatwena asat Vishchetya manatwena tu chidatma vir vedasya adatu mashakya tva chinmatratve tut atmatnam swabhava vedasya agarthanat bhakshamarna nitya avyatirikta malasambandha yogenapi vedasya anupapate pranmalasya satvepi muktidashas tashayam tadupashamanan nanatmavadasya bhaktum ashakya twan mala samskara sambhave vanadi shivat kantachidapakarshe va mukti shivaha samsarirna eva suriti. It's very interesting, this part. Yatoktam chaitanya meka evat meti nanatmavadasya nupapati suchita. For that reason, this Chaitanya, this consciousness in absolute freedom, this Paramashiva, is the self and never any other thing. Override nature, as assumed by those who follow the doctrine of difference or dualism among self and selves, and among the selves themselves. The difference between you and the people around and all these beings, animals, people, etc. And between these beings, between themselves. On one hand, if there were unconsciousness in that, in Atma or self, he would be inert matter. So there is unconsciousness in him. If he's not consciousness, he's jada. He's inert matter. He's completely inert, dead. Since he would be not self, he will be the opposite. Not the self. He would be not self. On the other hand, if Atma is considered to be essentially consciousness, there will be insufficiency of means, anupapate, for applying the aforesaid doctrine of difference It's not possible to establish or apply the doctrine of difference or duality to cheat or consciousness through a space, time, or form, because if they are perceived, if a space, time, and form are inside the range of consciousness, then they are essentially cheat or consciousness. But if they are not perceived, that is, if they are not inside the range of consciousness, being devoid of cheat, they would be unreal. What is this? If you perceive something, it's because you are here. You exist. If you don't exist, you cannot perceive. But if you perceive, you exist. And if you exist, you are one with your perceive. You are one with what you perceive. If I perceive Robert now, I'm one with him. Why? Because he appeared is one with me. If he's not one with me, he cannot appear. He will be unreal, unmanifest. If he's real, he's one with me. You cannot prove that he's not one with me by means of space, time, and etc. Because if I perceive him, he's one with me. Because the perceiver, the perception, and the object being perceived is all one. If it's not one, you cannot perceive. You understand this? For example, I perceive this mouse in front of me, yes? This mouse. I perceive this mouse because the mouse is one with me. You tell me it's not one with me. Yes, it's one with you. Because the mouse is one with your perception, and your perception is one with the perceiver, you. So the mouse is the object being perceived by you is one with you. If the mouse is not one with you, you cannot perceive the mouse. Because there is no perception. If there is no perception, there is no mouse. So you are one with all the things you perceive. You cannot prove the opposite. Try to prove and you will be wrong again. Oh, I'm not one with the mouse. So how you perceive it? How can you perceive it? To perceive something, you have to be one with that thing. Not the body, you. The perceiver, the perception, and the object being perceived. All is one process. If you cut something, there is no unity anymore. So there is no perception. You understand? So simple. Then, difference in the natures of the beings cannot be established. No. Because the perceiver is all the time one. So there is only one nature, your nature. You perceive the mouse, you perceive the monitor, you perceive other people, but the perceiver is one. So you move to different objects, but the perceiver and the perception is one. So all the time is one, the nature, because the perceiver is one. You can tell me, but there are many perceivers. No, only one you perceive. Who? You. You don't perceive my perceiver. You perceive my perceiver. You perceive only you. So there is only one nature. But there is all these people around. Yes, well, this is the problem with duality, with Maya. This is the problem you have to overcome. You have to defeat, you have to beat. You have to be the winner with this illusion that there are many around you. This is illusion. You have to cross this illusion. The perceiver is you. You cannot move from yourself. Try to move from yourself. You cannot. You are there. You move like this and move with you. You are there, conscious, watching. It doesn't matter what you are watching. You are one all the time with you. So the nature of the thing you are watching is your nature all the time because it's one with the object. Then different the natures of the beings cannot be established. Obviously, it's only you. Even through the contact with mala or impurity appear in the form of Arnava, Karma, and Maya malas, there is insufficiency of means to establish the doctrine of duality, since that mala is not something existing separate from consciousness, because all these malas are part of you and of your perception. Some mala contract your perception to watch some object in some way. Yes, okay, but this mala is part of you. It's not external. All the malas are with you. So they are one with you. So you cannot prove there are something external different from you. Because through perception, all of them are one with you. And when you don't perceive what you don't perceive, for example, I don't perceive South Africa now. Yes, I don't perceive South Africa. So South Africa is unreal. It's unmanifest. Exists but like a possibility in my mind, now like a name, South Africa, but doesn't exist like a reality in front of me. This will be explained later, Shemaraja says in the scripture. Even though there is existence of mala or impurity prior to liberation, it's impossible to postulate the doctrine of multiple beings, as there is cessation of that mala in the state of mukti, of final emancipation. So if mala is completely real and eternal, why stop existing after liberation? So mala is not completely real and eternal. Stop existing after liberation. So you cannot speak about mala like reality. If there were appearance of residual traces of mala after liberation, or if a liberated soul is somehow below an adi shiva, being in less shiva, I will explain this later, then those apparent liberated shivas would be certainly samsaris or transmigratory beings. So if all the liberated shivas, I will explain this later when I read the book, are liberated, why they have malas yet? If they have malas, they are not liberated. They are samsaris again. So if they are liberated, there is no mala. So why we're speaking about malas after liberation? So what I'm saying that even in the presence of malas, the unity of all cannot be broken. As has been stated, Chaitanya or consciousness with absolute freedom to know and do all is only one self. Through this maxim, through this slogan, maxim, the insufficiency of means to maintain the doctrine of multiple beings has been indicated. It's impossible to maintain the doctrine of multiple beings because even through mala, you cannot prove this. Because mala disappeared at the time of liberation, so you cannot prove after time of liberation, after liberation. So, and because mala belongs to consciousness too. It's part of consciousness. It's the contraction of will, for example, the contraction of knowledge, the contraction of action, but it's part of consciousness. And because consciousness is one, who is consciousness? You. And because you are only one perceiver all the time, so all the things around you have your own essential nature and not another nature. Because if they have another nature, the process of perception is broken. It's very subtle. For example, I perceive this mouse again. The mouse has my nature. That's why I can perceive him. The perceiver, the perception, and the mouse being perceived are one. It's one process. Why? Because the perceiver has one nature, the perception has the same nature, and the mouse has the same nature. If the mouse had different nature, I cannot perceive the mouse. Because to perceive this mouse, I will need another nature too. And this is impossible. I cannot have another nature to perceive a mouse, another nature to perceive another thing, another thing, another thing. So I will have multiple nature to perceive million things around. This is impossible, and it's not happening. I have only one nature. So all the things have one nature too. So there are no multiple things, because the nature is one in all of them. So this multiplicity is unreal. Not because it doesn't exist. It exists, but it's unreal because it's not the real nature of all. Oh my God, the intellect suffering, yes. I wrote, in spite of the pompous style of Kshemaraja, it's very pompous, his Sanskrit, yes, a lot of words like this, crazy. In spite of the pompous style of Kshemaraja, the teachings are very understandable for Jesus Christ. For Jesus Christ is very understandable. I'm joking, I was in the book. Here, Kshemaraja is proving that Chit or Chaitanya consciousness, that is Paravairava or self, you, is never touched by duality or difference. Paravairava is always a solitary supreme self. You are completely alone. In order to do so, he says that if there were unconsciousness in Paravairava, then he would be inert matter and not the self. This is clear, is it not? One cannot postulate that Paravairava is the self of the universe and next to say that he really is something unconscious, like a void, as many nonsensical schools state, yes, for example, Buddhism. Oh yes, all this is full of consciousness, all this universe, full of life, conscious life. But the origin of all is completely unconscious, a void. Oh really? Completely stupid. All this life comes from a bigger life. That is not even life, it's beyond life. It's consciousness. That's why all this is conscious. If you throw something into the ocean, what will happen? When you remove from the ocean this object again, the ocean will be completely wet, soaked in water, yes? In the same way, all these objects around you are soaked in you, in consciousness. So this object cannot be full of consciousness and you are a void without consciousness. It's stupid. No, you have more consciousness than the objects, or at least the same consciousness, or more. You are full. It doesn't matter, but you cannot be a void, inert. That's why the postulation by the Buddhism or another school is false, fake. Don't believe them. How is it possible that from inner matter, like a void, completely unconscious, could come all these conscious beings around you? No, they come from consciousness. And who is this consciousness? You, the one beholding the void. Who is beholding the void? You. You can tell me when I did it. When, oh Guru, I did that. Every night when you are in deep sleep, you all the time you behold the void. You contemplate the void. You are there. Only with the prana moving in the body. So you contemplate the void every night. So you cannot tell me when I did that. You don't need to be Lord Buddha to contemplate the void. Every night you contemplate the void. Who is the one contemplating the void? You, consciousness, Chaitanya, Paramashiva, Paravairava, whatever the name. Now it makes sense. Living beings full of consciousness come from consciousness. Good. Not from a void. Good. So Buddhism is rejected. In this way, you can destroy Buddhists, for example. So when Nagarjuna, the great Buddhist teacher, was confronted with this argument, he said, well, he wrote this, people like us call this reality void because we don't know what is this. He had to specify, this Buddhist, that is not really a void. Because we don't know what is this, we call it a void. So Shemaraja replied, people like you, really, it was like this in the scripture. If you don't know what is that, why to call it void? To send a lot of people to this void of ignorance. Why not to call it something else? So people like you, Shemaraja said, should go to a teacher who knows what is this to learn the truth instead of inventing things. This was his speech to the Buddhist, Shemaraja's speech. But Nagarjuna, not stupid Buddhist, yet he realized, oh my God, they are right. But we don't know what is that. That's why we call it a void. This Shiva has no form. Nobody can say where he is, when he is. It's beyond time and space. But we know that it's here and now. This Shiva is everywhere like this. When you see a cat, for example, he's alive, yes, and Shiva is there, but you cannot say where. The only thing you know is that it's in you, like you. But you cannot say where. I say this here, Shiva, for you to have some reference. But not even here. It's inside and outside the body at the same time. We don't know where he is. Anyway, we know that he's here. With here, like a way of speaking only, here. Because if he's a void, then he's not the self of the universe. He's not Vishwatma. If he's the self of the universe, he's not a void. He's conscious. To postulate this would be a contradiction in itself. He's the self of the universe and at the same time he's a void. It's interesting to see that those people giving and receiving knowledge in those nonsensical schools like Buddhism, speaking about the void as the highest reality, hardly ever notice the contradiction and the absurdity of their theories. Why? Because they are not very intelligent. When you are intelligent, for example, a Christian comes to you and tells you, oh, you will only be happy in heaven after death when you go to the world of the Father. Yes, Christian are like this. When you go to the world of the Father and when you are there with Jesus Christ and the Father, you will be completely happy. So you refute this. Can be the Pope himself coming to me to tell me, of the Christian church, to tell me, oh, you will be happy. No, because God is everywhere. The Father is everywhere. Jesus Christ is everywhere. So why to wait? Why to move to some place to be with him? So he can say nothing. The Pope will be completely silent. Why? Because they are not very intelligent. Sorry, Pope. They are not very intelligent. If you are intelligent, you see, but his God is everywhere. That's why he's God. Why I had to travel to heaven to be with him? I cannot be with him here. Yes. And if I go to heaven to be with him, I will have to reject God in the process, because all the road to heaven is him too. So I will move through him to go to him. What is this contradiction? Stupid. So no, liberation to be in heaven is not about to travel to some world. That's why Jesus Christ said, the kingdom of God, heaven is among you. It's among you. You know what is among you? between you. It's not between you, it's among you, it's with you all the time. For now, the only conscious Christian I saw was Jesus Christ. The only Christian I saw in my entire life. The other people are repeating only, but they don't understand what they're saying. If God is everywhere, why to travel? Like this Vaishnava saying that I have to travel to Vaikuntha world to be with Vishnu there. What kind of God is Vishnu that he's not here too? What kind of God is that? For what I have to go to Vaikuntha to be with him if he's not here? It's a minor God if he's only there and not here. No, because he's God, he's everywhere. So I can be with him here too. I don't need to travel to Vaikuntha world. Because if he's only the Vaikuntha world after dying, like heaven for Christians, so he's not the real God. He's only one minor God. But they say, no, Vishnu is the great Lord. Okay, so he's here. Why I have to travel? So all these postulations, all these statements by Vaishnavas are false. People with little intelligence postulated that. Who? Madhvacharya, for example. A master with little intelligence to postulate, for example, that you have to travel to Vaikuntha world to live with Vishnu. When Vishnu is everywhere, yes. Ridiculous. Madhvacharya, the founder of Dvaita Vedanta. Or Ramanuja, the founder of Vishishta Dvaita Vedanta, yes, to write the same, that you have to travel to Vaikuntha worlds. Ridiculous. So there is more God there than here. How is that possible? How is it possible that God can be more in one place than another place? No, every portion of God contains full God. That's why he's God and not another living being, common living being. If he's like another common living being, he's not the real God. So a living being is here, but not there. It's a living being, common living being. But if he's the self of the universe, he's everywhere in the same proportion. So why not to commune with him here? Why I have to wait for death to go to heaven or to Vaikuntha world or wherever I have to go? It's crazy thing. That's why Abhinavagupta rejected all statements about liberation related to traveling to another place. It's ridiculous. Or to another time. It's ridiculous. Therefore, Paravairava is the self and not a void or any other object. This is extremely obvious. The idea that the highest reality is a void has thrown millions of people over the centuries into the hole of samsara. Transmigration from one thought to another thought, from one emotion to another emotion, from one body to another body, etc. All of which is full of suffering. It's a stupid idea, but it has the power to tie people up very tight. Anyway, when any of these stupid ideas around is challenged, it just collapses. It's because nobody has enough intelligence as to challenge them that they persist across civilizations, as I mentioned in my commentary on the introductory stanzas. That this is a world where fools reign supreme, and I'm showing you now why I stated that. In a world where religions postulated that heavens is the final point for everybody, yes, there you can be happy. Or schools postulated that the void, like Buddhism, yes, is the highest reality. And still existing in this world for so many centuries, this proves that this world is a world of fools, of stupid people. Because someone with a little intelligence can challenge all those statements. There is another problem with the theory that the highest reality is really an unconscious void. Who is perceiving the void? It cannot be another void, or the thing will start to become even more nonsensical than before. So one void perceiving another void perceiving another void after void ad eternum, yes, ad infinite. ridiculous. The answer is simple. Paravairava is perceiving the void, but he's not a void. For Paravairava to be a void, he should be an absolute void. That is, a void that cannot be perceived by anyone else. Because if someone can perceive it like a void, at that very moment, the void is not absolute anymore. However, it's impossible to prove the existence of an absolute void because there is always someone, Paravairava, over the centuries, perceiving the void. It's like opening the door to an empty room and say, there is nobody. Yes, there is nobody but myself. In the same way, Paravairava has been contemplating the void for long, and there is for sure nobody there but himself. So we contemplate this void every night, yes, and Paravairava is there contemplating. Who is Paravairava? You. For a long time, this life and many lifetimes before, we were contemplating the void and the void of death. But it's not absolute void because Paravairava is all the time there contemplating. So it's not absolute void. There is someone, Paravairava, you. If someone says that an absolute void is a higher reality, then one should ask that person about how did he come to know that. Even if he said that such a teaching was passed on to him by his teacher, and his teacher received it from his own teacher, and so on, into remote past, there was someone that was contemplating the void even millennia ago. And that person who contemplated the void was Paravairava again. So it's not an absolute void, but another mere void like that of deep sleep, when one does not dream about anything. For the void to be really absolute, nobody should know it. But this is impossible. Consequently, the foolishness called the void as being the highest reality is rejected. I will be speaking about this stupid void in my explanation of the aphorism 17 and 18. For now, it's enough. In the next satsang, I will explain about heaven, like I was speaking about a little bit, yes, about heaven, traveling to heaven, to be free from all, to be happy, really happy. Here we cannot be really happy because it's not heaven or Vaikuntha words or whatever word you want to mention. Okay, for today is enough. We'll see you in the next satsanga. Now we'll continue with question and answers in private. Om Namah Shivaya.